r/AskReddit. Kirillink says, if you got married after less than 6 months of dating, what's your story? McDog12 says, within 30 days. I don't know. It was crazy. It was fast. But 6 years later it's amazing. We just knew. Once we met we did not separate. It was instant love. As soon as I saw her I just kind of knew. My aunt set us up. Our first date was fantastic. And from then on we never wanted to be apart. We have 2 kids and I have never been happier. I can't imagine my life any other way. We still joke about our super long courtship. We both know it was stupid. It was ridiculous. Neither of us normally jump into things. But this. It hits different than anything else I've ever experienced. John Prime says, I'm jealous of you. This sort of love must be absolutely amazing. Congratulations. Icon20 says, and here I am, dated for 8 years and got married. After 8 months, we are getting divorced. College sweethearts. Had to give it the full shot, otherwise we probably would have kept breaking up and dating again until we were 50. I think there's something to say about when you know, you know. And also, when you take 8 years to think you might know, you clearly don't know. Catsaway9 says, we got engaged and moved into an apartment together after about 3.5 months of dating, but we didn't get married for another 6.5 months after that because of the time it took to make the wedding arrangements. So maybe that doesn't count, but it's close. As to why it was so quick, I guess we just knew we wanted to be together and didn't want to wait. We've been married 33 years. Amjural1 says, I met my partner 6 weeks ago and we are basically set on getting married in the summer. We are both in our 40s and have been around the block enough to see how different this is. We've also both been in therapy over the last year and our therapists, families, and friends are all giving the thumbs up. I hope in 20 years I can still say, when you know you know. Dean Cullen says, yep, got married second time at 30ish, was married for 7 years before that, way less stress, you know what works and what doesn't. Asked her to marry me around 6 weeks, move in a week or 2 later, and married around 4 months. Still married 20 years later. Not always the easiest, but super lucky to have met, and super compatible in a whole number of areas. It's just easier when you are older. Smoky Cat says, my friends met on Halloween, engaged on Thanksgiving, married New Year's Day. They lived 900 miles from each other. Still married 30 plus years later. Explanation, when you know, ick now? Norite says, we both kind of stalked each other from far away. Imagine 2 very shy people trying to speak to each other. When it finally happened, we fit together like pieces in a puzzle. Or Aquabot says, I misread it for a moment. I thought it said we fit together like pieces in a pizza. I'll let it stand. Norite says, our first date was I made a DiGiorno pizza in my oven. And we ate in my living room and watched Howl's Moving Castle. I also made Pillsbury cinnamon rolls and coffee for dessert. Thidrunker Brewster says, been 15 years married strong here. When I was in my early 20s, I took a 5-year hiatus from dating and concentrated on building a stable career and life for myself. I didn't want to just hook up, so I was waiting until I met someone who was worth my time and also wanted to settle down and share a life together. I met that someone randomly on Facebook and we started chatting. After a month of chatting, we met up and then were inseparable ever since. He proposed very early and we moved in together within a few months. Bought our house within the year and legally got married at City Hall before purchasing the home. All relationships take a lot of work and communication. Also, knowing that your significant other and yourself will not be the same people we were 10 years ago, and also won't be the same 10 years from now is helpful. Our needs and desires change, but to this day, they are still my best friend, and we still text each other throughout the day and enjoy each other's company. Bear Kumo says, 4 kids and 36-year wedding anniversary next month. Ranker Matureness says, which time? I've been married and divorced 5 times. I met number 3 on a Saturday and got married the following Wednesday. Lasted 18 months. I think the only time I dated more than 6 months was the first, probably 8 months. Murada Stackhounds says, maybe you shouldn't be getting married anymore. Anetwo345 says, you're taking a risk just interacting with them. It's like 50:50 that you're engaged now. 291,610,478,021 says, he was from USA and I was Canadian. He lived up here for 6 months before having to go back. We got married instead. 15 years later, we are amazing. Best decision of my life. r/AskReddit. Interesting Roll 5983 says, what's something your country should be proud of? John Skywalker says, Iceland, we have the biggest collection of penises in the world. Quietly Dangerous says, NHS. Humble Plain 1924 says, Pastel de Nata. Mrij Lawrence says, United States, National Parks. Swimming Duty 1889 says, Hills Hoist, Blue Eye, and Pavlova, suck it Key Whiz. Svensson 26 says, in Canada, we had a big problem 10 plus years ago with indigenous communities who didn't have access to clean water. Our government promised it would solve the problem. And it did. Amazingly. Nearly all boil water advisories have been lifted, and of those that haven't, they're in the planning or building stage to get them fixed. I have friends who are water resource engineers, and they say that this was such a huge undertaking because some of these communities are in remote locations and have some real difficult to solve causes for their water contamination. But the government stepped up and is doing it. Nobody is making a big deal about it because it's taking longer than they promised, but their promise was unrealistic to begin with. The fact that we are at the stage that we are at now is incredible and should definitely be celebrated. Nobody seems to know or care about it though. Makotok says, Insuline. Rebel Dogman 2 says, nothing. Countries are just made up of a lot of different individuals. They aren't living beings. DMA 1965 says, biscuits and gravy. Orangey 82 says, Estonia, generally doing the most well out of all the post-Soviet countries. HDI level is very high. I love Takas says, Takas. Jazzlikaba the 2008 says, me. Kids Don Chatonayal says, I love 40. And other countries. Turtler Pope 420 says, National Parks and Towns Van Zandt. Winter Wizard 9497 says, absolutely nothing. Dizzy Bumble says, military strength, proud of my country. 96 Flex 96 says, me. Superpoweredle says, that we are alive, honestly. Brazil. But on a serious note, I'm very proud of our success in eradicating many diseases through vaccination, even though some came back in the last few years with the anti-vax government. We are working on it. Electrical Low 8887 says, Ukraine, the strength and unity of people. Definitely. See Opinion 4800 says, exterminating all the wolves, bears, and wild boar, and cutting down nearly all the forests. Inevitable Prize 976 says. The Total Consumer Society. Fmlauncher says. Universal healthcare and a awesome political system. Fedipofbrek says. Ireland has more Nobel Prizes for literature per head of capita than any other country. We also kinda invented milk chocolate. This Bob says. Street magic. Feelin' lucky 7 says. Not the safety of our schools. Ranchet Giza says. You sir, the Mars Hall plan. Looks like a potato says. Food. Who is dinner says. Variety of cultures prospering all together. Hagfi says. We haven't had a mass shooting in 2 days. /s. Ellsworth Chewy says. It's history. Twaharinit says. D's. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.